Hello and welcome to the YBInc Podcast, better known as Your Business Incubator. And this is the first podcast that we are doing. And we are going to introduce two bold visionaries, my counterpart, Tiffany KO, and myself. We're going to give you some insight as to why we started this business incubator and what it means for businesses out there that are thinking about starting a business, the idea to startup stage, the startup stage to thrive stage, and then the thrive stage to success. And it doesn't matter if you are have a side hustle or if you're only looking to start a side hustle. We're just going to have a conversation about how we can help you. Tiffany?
So I would say that the business incubator that we created here is probably something that we wish we had when we first started our businesses.
I would agree.
Yes, when you have a great idea, you wrap a business model around it. You quit your full time job to jump in both feet without really thinking about any of the consequences. Or maybe that's just me. That was me.
No,
Um,
I remember the day that I came home and told my future wife that I was going to quit my job and start a business basically promoting events, and she asked me where I fell down and hit my head.
ah, I like her, straightforward gal.
Yes.
Yes, I kind of wish I had a little bit more of a conscience when I quit my very cushy DC job to go out and hang out my shingles without too much of a safety net. Again, not knowing what you don't know is bliss in some circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And think very quickly, as you probably also learned as I did in the first 3 years, like my business kicked my butt. I'm pretty sure I did everything you're not supposed to do in the book about how you run a business, and I did all of the mistakes and learned from it. And luckily, I feel like there was a lot of luck involved, a lot of luck and strategy, but probably mostly luck
Yes.
that I made it out to the other side to what I was reaching for as my success. And Brandon, so have you, right?
Yes. And part of the success that I enjoy today goes back to 19, gee, many Christmas, 90, 91, 92, somewhere around there, when I had thoughts of wanting to start my first business. I got the slap in the face of the reality of starting a business as a minority business owner and not having any knowledge, and just coming to the reality of there are so many things that you don't know that you need to know that no one ever tells you. And the landscape has just changed so much over the last 30 years in starting a business that you just need help. And if you can get the right help with the right guidance, anyone can be successful. So, I love the fact that, starting an incubator, we want to help everybody. We don't want to just help the companies that are into tech or into innovation or, you know, doing something crazy to get it to get, attention. We want to work with the companies that want to start food trucks, that want to start, selling ice cream, coffee. Everyday business people is what really drives America.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think innovation in tech is great. I think that the everyday business, the everyday entrepreneur is probably just as important. And so we wanted to create a resource, especially for the businesses starting up and in that very vulnerable couple first years where a business can largely fail because the owner, the person behind the engine behind a business doesn't know what they don't know. And they usually don't have enough money to hire or do what it is that they need to do. So there's always a limitation of resources, whether it's time or money. And, we created the incubator solely because we went through the same thing our first 3 years.
Yes.
And we know what it takes. We know how scary it is. We know how overwhelming it is, but we also know what it takes And our vision and dream for the incubator is to help owners through those first very few fragile years to make sure that they have the greatest opportunity of success.
Right. And, another aspect of this is, I have spent the last, 12 to 15 years in the shared office space industry. And I have spoken to thousands of people that call in January and say, I need a business address to start a business. A- And then when I ask a few more questions about, you know, what business they're in, they're very limited in their response. Um, and so that just tells me there's a lot of people out there that need help in all facets, and they're just starting in one point, but they need help.
And that's okay because nobody really goes into a business for, especially if it's their first business, knowing all what to do. Right? Brandon, you and I have been a couple business beyond our first,
Oh
and
my
it does
God.
get a little easier. But even now, we still are learning things
Correct.
because, like you said, the landscape has changed because of technology, and so we're constantly learning to keep up with all that's new in being able to run successful business. So, with the incubator, we want a place where owners can come and find the answers to their questions, whether you're starting up, you're a first time owner, you have basic questions, or maybe you've been in business for a year or two now, or you've been at your side hustle for more than a few years, and you want to do something new with it, or you want to take it to a different level. Whatever situation or whatever status you're in with your business, we want somewhere that owners can go to, like your business incubator, to find the resources, the people, and the funding that they need.
And can you talk for a minute about the YBI Scholarship Fund? What was our intentions behind that?
Yes.
Money. People want to hear about how they might be able to get a little scratch.
Yes. Let's talk about money. Yes, let's talk about money. So the incubator fund, the YBI scholarship fund, is set up just on that premise of what we talked about, which is we know that it is really hard for small business owners, especially in that first year or 0 to 1 year, to have the money to hire the right service or right resources that they need in order to get their business going. So the incubator scholarship fund is set up so that we help facilitate subsidize part of the cost for a service that could be very integral to the business for a full year. So there are some qualifications to the scholarship program, but largely, generally, the idea is that any applicant that is accepted into the program follow a short educational program where we go through all the different core areas of a successful business. So, not only do we talk about marketing and sales and all the sexy stuff people like to talk about, but we also talk about, what goes on behind the scenes for a business, the back office, the infrastructure, the strategy, and what all that looks like to help our members identify, wow, which part of my business do I really need help on? And that way they know where to direct their scholarship dollars to. And the idea is, within a year, when we help subsidize them for whatever tools or resources that they need, it really can help them get to that next level or get through that first year, like we said, which is incredibly fragile and incredibly vulnerable, so that they can have a greater chance of success.
Preach.
We love the scholarship fund. I mean, that is like that is definitely the cherry on top of our pie.
What makes us different from SCORE, SBA, and other organizations, chambers, and other organizations out there is the fact that we're trying to fill this gap of what the others don't do, in all aspects of helping support business, where we're not driven by, you know, institutional requirements before we can help somebody. One of the things that we're doing is having the ability for people to schedule 30-minute mentor meetings to get that insight and help that they can't get by calling SBA or some other organization.
Yeah, I would say that we set ourselves up to be a great complement to all of these organizations you just listed, right? The chambers, the SBAs, the Fairfax ED or Fairfax, I guess the EDAs
Right.
or the EDAs
Yeah.
of the world, those kind of organizations which has a great place in what they're doing and absolutely are doing well in their space. But we also recognize that business owners may need even more additional support than what you say kind of these institutionals can give because everybody has a little bit of a different mission, a little bit of different focal point. And because of that, they go about their support and services differently.
Right.
So we find ourselves designing business incubator to, like you say, fill in those gaps to be the next step when somebody looks up their local EDA or SBA to start a business. And they go in and they find great information about, all the compliance and, things that they do need to actually get a business started and maybe even like an initial checklist. And they feel like they're getting some momentum. We want to be the next step to that if they didn't come to us first.
Right.
Okay, great. Now you have momentum. Let's start filling in the blanks. Let's start figuring out, what is your strategy? Let's start figuring out what your website is. Like, let's start doing all the things to actually help you build the business that you're trying to build.
All right. Which is going to lead into our build a business workshop.
Another I guess creation that we're so excited about. And just know that all of this came out of our brains of wow, what we wish we had when we first started our
Yeah.
business.
Just kind of oozed out.
Yes, so that's what we're so excited when we talk about this and we talk about like what this build a business workshop is. Kind of going off of what I was saying about, people starting a business and the first thing they do is maybe they Google and then they go to the SBA or they go to SCORE, they go to a local EDA or maybe even their local chamber to start finding information, right? This is where it's like super exciting. And the next level up is, once you get information, there's stuff you need to do with that information. And what do you do with that information and how you implement it? A lot of people are left to their own devices right now, right?
Right.
You maybe go online and do some more Google research. Maybe you ask ChatGPT. Maybe you go to YouTube and you're searching for videos on how to start your own business. But the thing is, having all these resources tells you what the information is. It's like having a recipe. Like it tells you what the ingredients is, but it doesn't tell you what the recipe actually is. It
Right.
just tells you all the different ingredients you're supposed to have. But having ingredients ain't gonna bake that cake for you. You still have a lot of
Not if you want a
um
good cake.
not if you want a good cake. You still have a lot of blanks to fill out, as in, well, how long am I supposed to bake this cake? How am I supposed to treat this ingredient? When am I supposed to put something in? Like all that information isn't quite delivered in these kind of avenues like I spoke of before. But for the Build a Business workshop, that's the goal. We're trying to not only show you the ingredients, but we're also going to show you what the recipe will look like or may look like for your business. And everybody's business is a little different. We get it, right? Two gym owners may be in the gym business, but they could have different visions of what they want for their business, which means their strategy and how they go about it will change at the end, be different at the end of the day. But then that's also why we have membership benefits, like Brandon was saying about having mentor meetings. This is when you get your specific question answered. So we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can on these Build a Business workshops after we also help provide information. So we have a split so that there's 3 workshops in every quarter, so once a month. So the first workshop is for businesses in a stage called idea to startup. So this is when you have found a great idea, you're super excited about it, and you really feel like it may be a viable business that you can have, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's a full-time hustle. Anyways, you're kind of ready to start. So this first workshop is kind of telling you all the things you may want to do in order to get to that startup level to start. The second workshop is Startup to Thrive. So this is when, okay, so you've, maybe incorporated, you've done all the things that now you actually have a business. Now it's about getting your first customer and getting your business up and running. And then the third workshop is the Thrive to Scale. So this is when, you've gotten your first customer, maybe customers with an S. You've gotten a little funding coming through your bank account. Now you have a little money to spend. How do you best spend that so you can continue the momentum you've built so far to keep growing your business?
Right. All this talk about cake. And cooking is I would kill for some Dunkin' Donuts right now.
Ah, that's what you think of when you think of cake?
I mean, I'm thinking those like cake donuts that you get in the super. Oh my gosh, I would kill for one right now.
Mm.
Man. Ugh.
Mm-mm. Maybe we should leave it at there
I think
today.
so, because now I need some sweets.
With this all this talk about cake. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. I think that, if you find this useful, you want to learn more, check out our website. It's YBInc.org. Sign up for our newsletters, check out our events calendar. If you want to be in the know, check back in with this podcast. While you're here, give it a thumbs up if you would like, or a little 5 star. That'll be great too, to make sure that we kind of keep spreading the word.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Had to give them both there. So thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. I'll see you on the next podcast.
Same bad channel, same bad time.